Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure to the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video. And in this video, I'm going to start it off in the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 1. And the whole book of Obadiah is dedicated to you Edomites, you so-called white people, as you're known as today, so-called Americans, British, Europeans, Russians, and especially those small hats over in the Holy Land right now. And the header reads, Edom will be humbled. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Verse 2, Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And this has a twofold meaning. On the one hand, you Edomites are actually the global minority, though in the places you dwell, you like to put up that narrative that you're the majority. And on the other hand, that means your reputation has been made small and despised amongst the different nations, which we can clearly see. The other heathen nations are calling you Edomites out for your colonial rape, robbery, and murder history. And a lot of them are starting to, kick you out of their countries and move from the west to the east, dealing with countries like China and, the Russians too, even though they're Edomites, but they're trying to get away from that Western dominated hegemony, moving towards the BRICS. And another example of you being made small among the heathen are the nations, turning against you small hats over in the Holy Land with your treatment of those Palestinian Arabs or Ishmaelites. You're seeing protests erupt all across the planet, getting on you 1948ers for how you're treating those Palestinians. And in a lot of cases, they're taking the side of Hamas over you. And things like this are only going to continue because we are at the end of you Edomites is global rulership before you're taken out of power and put in your rightful place in slavery with cold iron chains shackled around you, serving the true children of Israel who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today in the kingdom of heaven. But I opened up the video with these verses to go to my first bit of information I'll be profiling on CNN.com titled, The World is Turning Against the 1948ers' War in Gaza, and many 1948ers don't understand why. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. In the past, when you 1948ers did your thing against those Palestinian Arabs, you did have some pushback, but, for the most part, and especially in America, the people took your side. But since we're at the end of your rulership as an entire nation, people are really pushing back against you and calling you out for your hypocrisy and wickedness and genocidal practices. Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Yoav Peled says he has started wondering if the world has gone mad. And the world hasn't gone mad. The world is simply waking up to your madness. Under you Edomites' rulership, the world has been made mad and insane and just crazy out here. Just look at the state of the world's in right now. Depression is at an all-time high. Drug and alcohol use are at an all-time high. The environment is collapsing. You got GMO foods out here giving people cancer. And let's not get started on just what this whole feminism, equality mindset has done to the relationships between men and women. Sitting outside the Kira, the 1948ers equivalent of the Pentagon in Tel Aviv, Peled was cutting pieces of yellow ribbon off a large wheel last Thursday, handing them out to strangers passing by. The bands symbolize solidarity with the roughly 240 hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. And, on Sky News, which was a Australian news network, they were interviewing some of those 1948ers that were in the custody of Hamas. And they were saying, Hamas has been treating them well, feeding them and stuff like that. But they quickly cut that interview short. And the news broadcaster said, well, there is propaganda out there and they could be telling her what to say. Hey, the narrative that you Edomites have been putting out there, that you're always the victim and the good guy, is quickly falling apart. The people are starting to see you for who you truly are, the problem of the earth, the real TERRORIST, the real, genocidal maniac, the racist, the rapist, the robber, the murderer, everything, especially you 1948ers. It is this solidarity, and specifically whether it still extends beyond the 1948er borders, that Pele was questioning. I used to consider myself part of the extreme liberals, whatever they call themselves, but when I see demonstrations with cries in support of Hamas and stuff like that, I doubt that the world understands complexity. And when they can't understand complexity, they see this as a one-sided thing, and their sense of justice is very simple. But it's not simple, he told CNN. I think the governments understand this, but the people, I don't know. And hey, there is no complexity to it. You 1948ers don't belong in that land. You got that land through what? The groundwork being set with the Balfour Declaration, and then after World War II, the U.S. and the UN further giving you that land. And since then, what have you been doing? Taking more and more territory from the Palestinians, which they don't deserve, which they don't belong in that land either. But what you've confined a lot of them to the Gaza Strip, which is an open air prison, and you bomb and, kill and maim them, any chance you get. As that Egyptian president said back in the 50s, I'm trying to think of I think it was something Nasser. His last name was definitely Nasser. He said, there will never be peace in the Holy Land because the Jews left black, but they came back white. Again, you don't belong in that land, hence why there's no peace in that land. And the people are, just waking up to that fact that you're squatters, and you take advantage of the fact that you have the U.S. in your corner, and you just mistreat those Palestinian Arabs, and they're bucking up to you about it. As global leaders continue to pile pressure on Israel over the mounting civilian death toll from its bombardment of Gaza, and huge crowds gather for pro-Palestinian protests in cities like London, Washington, D.C., Berlin, Paris, Amman, and Cairo, almost all in support of civilians in Gaza rather than Hamas, many 1948ers are getting frustrated with what they see as unequal treatment. It's a feeling that cuts across the deep divisions within 1948er society. The world does not understand us. No, the world is waking up and understanding you perfectly for who you truly are. The perpetrators of everything, the root cause of a lot of problems out there. Not just you Amalekite Edomites, but the entire nation of Esau, Edom as a whole. But that's it with this article. Now I'm going to go to my next bit of information, just showing how you 1948ers and you Edomites as a whole are being made small or despised amongst the nations and being exposed for who you truly are. And this is a little bit of a video from the brother GMS Ban Zaab 2's page titled, "He Went to the Doctor and Found Out He's an Israelite." On the one hand, you Edomites are being exposed for being the root cause of the problems on the planet Earth. And then on the other hand, you're being exposed for stealing and hiding the identity of the true children of Israel. The true children of Israel, again, being the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, with the prophets, the men of the Lord, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles online, breaking down the scriptures correctly. We're showing that you Amalekite Edomites don't fit any of the prophecies dealing with what the true children of Israel would be going through, but you do fit the prophecies dealing with what the Edomites would be doing in regards to stealing Israel's identity and, appointing the land, stealing the land into your possession, as it says in Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 5. And to you sincere Akiyame and Akwat out there, hey, more people than you think watch these lessons and are learning the truth of things from the prophets. But I'm going to start the video at the 9-minute and 59-second mark. And this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
I'm going to go to the next video now. This one right here. So y'all are familiar with the woman who said that the black Americans are the biggest problem in America. The black Americans are the biggest problem for the Israeli government. Now, why would they say something like that? Let's see.
What is going on? Why do you think that the U.S. is so quick to go help Israel fight against the Palestinians? Why?
Hey, she ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She's saying Palestinians rather than Palestinians. But it's all right, baby girl. We gonna work with you. What you got to tell us?
They know that the Jewish people in Israel are not the original people. Oh, no. They are definitely not. The original people are black people and people of color. So
who's those other people?
And where did this Edomite looking woman, because she could very well be an Israelite foreigner that looks like an Edomite, learn this information? From the prophets, whatever, camp she may have heard from. But this just goes to show, the prevalence and the significance of the prophets being out there prophesying this word and breaking down these scriptures. You got, average everyday people out here waking up to the okie doke. Real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 25, verse 7. And I will destroy in this mountain. And in the scriptures, mountains can represent governments. So, the mountain, the governments, are the powers of you Edomites, especially in the, the Western world. And I will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all the people and the veil that is spread over all the nations, the lies, the deceits, and the hypocrisies of you Edomites, showing yourselves as the good guys, and especially showing yourselves as the Israelites, and, hiding the identity of the true children of Israel. We're living in the last days, so all things are being revealed. As it says, everything in darkness is coming into the light. And as we get closer and closer to the end, more and more people are going to wake up to this fact and do videos like this. And it's going to become even more of a common talking point, water cooler talk, than it already is, to the point to where Esau is going to have to scrub these videos from the internet and take the men of the Lord off the highways and byways, which is also a part of biblical prophecy, the famine of the word coming. And whether, she's an Israelite foreigner or an Edomite, as it says in Psalm 64, verse 8, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. These Edomites, a lot of them are exposing their own people. That Edomite looking woman, she's exposing that you 1948ers aren't the true children of the Most High, but the so-called Negroes. She's only talking about the so-called Negroes, but the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true children of Israel. And actually, in the first part of that video of the brother Ban Zaab, you had a Nigerian Jake go to a Amalekite or 1948er doctor, and he told him, don't you know that you're a Israelite? That after 70 AD, the Israelites of the southern kingdom fled to the western coasts of Africa. And they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. Which, this brother does very edifying videos. I'd recommend you subscribe to his pages out there.
People of color, the Latinos, and Native Americans.
I did one lady, Judith Shore, she was an Israeli consul, say that the biggest threat in Israel It's the younger black community. Why do they feel so threatened? Why?
Hey, because when Israel wakes up to their identity and starts calling back on their power, that's a wrap for whatever heathen nation is ruling at the time and oppressing them. And best believe that the powers that be know this fact very well. This is Judith in the Apocrypha, chapter 5. I'm going to start at verse 17. And this is dealing with one of Nebuchadnezzar of the Neo-Babylonian Empire's generals, Holofernes, who was coming against the southern kingdom, besieging them. And there was an Ammonite, or so-called Japanese, general in his army that was telling him, look, if you go against these people when their power's not dealing with them, you're going to win. But if they are doing what's right by their power and we go against them, it's game over for us. And what is that predicated upon? Israel knowing their identity and coming back into the good graces of their power, following the ways of their power. But this is Judah chapter 5, verse 17. And this is Achior the Ammonite speaking. And whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High that hateth iniquity was with them. And, while we're going through our struggles right now, the fact that the truth is going out to the four corners of the earth and Israel is waking up, what are we seeing? These end times prophecies quickly begin to come to their fulfillment, and these heathens, chiefly these Edomites, losing their power. As it says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, which it has through the unicorn or the internet, and then shall the end come. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs, which we've seen, when our people went off in the past. What? The Most High sent these heathens to chastise us. But when we started calling back on our power, the Most High was with us and we overcame them. And it's no different with today. The northern kingdom came to the Americas, or Arsareth, and fell off from their identity. And when the southern kingdom, so-called Negroes, fled into the west coast of Africa and were in Europe, a lot of them, knew they were Israelites. And hey, you had evidence of the northern kingdom knowing that they were Israelites as well, but they were following, different paganistic customs. So what? The Most High sent these Edomites against us, led us into captivity, took our lands, further beat our identities out of us, and we've been oppressed for the last 500 years or so. But, Israel is waking up again, calling back on their power. Hence, while we're being set in order before our enemies, and our enemies are falling before us. And we're led captives into a land that was not theirs. Hey, America. And the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. Verse 19. But now are they returned to their power and are come up from the places where they were scattered, which is what we're doing spiritually right now. As it says in Micah chapter 2, verse 10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. We're rising out of these places we're in spiritually by not following after their gods, their practices, or their customs. And then we're going to physically be raised out of them when Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, makes his second coming to save his elect by beaming us up on those chariots, or so-called UFOs. And we're going to be brought back into the Holy Land and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Verse 21, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power before them, and we become a reproach before all the world. And, while we're still in these sinful bodies and can't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments to 100%, we're under the grace of Yahushai, and we're rehearsing the righteous acts right now, so that a remnant, the elect, is doing their best, and the Most High is, coming back towards us and accepting us. And as it says, and lest their Lord defend them and their power before them, and which we're seeing with the nation of Israel, with that elect, that remnant waking up across the planet, and Esau, Edom being exposed, as it says, and we become a reproach before the world. I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. These other nations are turning against you, Edomites, mainly in the Western world. They're turning against you 1948ers for how you've been treating those Palestinians. And what? As we're seeing with this Edomite looking woman, she's saying that, look, you people over there aren't the true children of the Most High. It's the so-called Negroes who are the true children of the Most High. And hey, as well as the so-called Latinos and Native Americans of the Northern Kingdom. And like I said, the powers that be know this very well. Hence why they've spent, billions upon billions, hey, maybe even more than that, of dollars and money to hide our identity from us and, keep us as far away from our power as they could, calling us Black, Latino, Native American, giving us hip hop and thug culture, everything under the sun but who we truly are, the children of Israel. This is Psalms chapter 83. I'm going to start at verse 1. And the header reads, "The Most High implored to confound his enemies. A song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So that what? If we transgress before our power, what? Our power is going to turn away from us and allow these heathens to rule over us. There's an account of that our apostles and elders, talk about, that I believe it was back in the late 80s or early 90s when they were out prophesying and had the 12 tribes chart, that a limousine pulled up and a bunch of well-dressed rich Edomites got out of the limousine and looked at the sign and asked them, "How did you find that out? We spent billions of dollars to hide that information from you." Why? Taking that crafty counsel to cut us off from our identity so they could continue to rule over us. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate, allied against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, you so-called white people, and the Ishmaelites, so-called Arabs, of Moab, the so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon, so-called Japanese, and Amalek, those 1948ers, Esau getting mentioned twice, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, you so-called Africans or Hamites. So the elites, at the top of these different nations, consulting together to hide our identity from us so they can continue to rule over and abuse us. But what? Back in that Isaiah 25 verse 7, that covering cast, that veil over all the nations is being removed. Israel is waking up to their identity, and these other nations are waking up to who the true Israelites are and who the true problem of the earth is, you Edomites. Again, I have made thee small amongst the heathens, thou art greatly despised.
Why? Because you know why? They know that the Black people were the original chosen ones, the original ones that were there. The people over there now, they took over all that land, just like they're trying to take over
Ezekiel 36 verse 5, and all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession.
all of Palestine. They have taken so much land from Palestine also. But watch what this lady says about the Black community being Israel's biggest problem. Like, what? Did you just tell on yourselves that, how y'all took slaves out of there back in the day and brought them, and made them make America and all this because you took them from their original spot. And now they are trying to sit there and continue.
And are come up from the places where they were scattered. They were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs.
continue to take all the little bit of land that Palestine has. The U.S. is evil. The U.S. is evil, not the people in it, because I am from the U.S., but what I'm saying, all this shit is crazy.
No, hey, some of the people here are evil too, sweetheart.
And everyone that is not of the elect of the nation of Israel in America is going to be destroyed by those 200 million nuclear missiles when they hit this place during World War III.
We have U.S. soldiers over there going to sit there and kill innocent kids, women, children, elderly men, everything in Palestine. But how did black people, all of a sudden, young black people, and the community of black people, all of a sudden become the problem to Israel? Please explain this to me. Is it because your guilt's starting to get to you? But watch this clip.
The problem with Israel is with the young generation of the black community. Black Lives Matter.
So she played the clip.
Hey, that's it with that clip. But hey, as we can see, prophecy continues to come to pass right before our very eyes. Hey, we're almost at the end of this thing, and we know the persecution must come. But after that, if we endure to the end, the salvation. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.